Now, for those of you who have just joined more recently, we started off this morning watching these lions. They haven't moved very far. Well, basically they haven't really moved at all. They may have moved a couple of 100 feet since we found them.
We can go back. This is the only one that's bringing me.
There are two lions just on our right that are doing a little bit of grooming. So I'll just try and get you into a better spot to see that. Now I can hear some birds alarm calling insistently ahead of us, and I'm wondering what it is that they're alarm calling at. I'm thinking it could be... Oh, there it is. It's the African Harrier Hawk doing its hunting. We've got to go. We've got to go. So, apologies, lion, but there's another predator that we need to go and see. And it's that same bird that we saw earlier that's obviously found a cavity in a tree, and it's busy trying to fish out whatever it can from there. So, I just want to try and get there as quickly as possible and make sure we don't run over a lion on the way there. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? So we're just going to keep a close eye on the lion and try and get to this as quickly as possible. I can't believe it's happened so soon. We were watching this bird a little bit earlier, hoping to see it hunting, and now it seems to have found a good spot. And there's a lot of smaller birds that are alarm calling and actually mobbing it. I don't want to go too close. This should probably work for now. Straight ahead of us in a knobthorn tree, and look at this. So it's just jumped off the branch where obviously there was a cavity in the tree, and it was hoping to pull out whatever bird or animal is living in that cavity. It doesn't look like it's had any luck. And you'll notice a lot of smaller birds above it. There's red-billed hornbills. Now they could be the owner of the cavity that the Harrier Hawk is trying to steal from, as well as starlings. Now we can also expect to see some of the smaller birds bomb diving. There we go. That was actually the hornbill. So it may well be the hornbill's nest that it's trying to steal from, and now it's going to use these long legs that it can double joint and twist and contort in order to get it into these holes in order to pull out prey. Wow, this is interesting. Now I'm not sure if I can reposition the vehicle. It would be wonderful to see the cavity. Oh look, there's another one. Another African Harrier Hawk's arrived. And you'll notice that it's got its full pink breeding plumage. It's not only breeding plumage, it's plumage that they show when they're excited. And keep a close look, you'll notice its face is pink where the other one was yellow. And that face within just a few seconds can change back to its original yellow color. So that's interesting just to see, but we'll go back to the individual that's currently busy trying to fish out the prey, and you'll notice its face has gone pink now. Now obviously whatever it is that's hiding in there, it could be a young red-billed hornbill, maybe just out of reach of this African Harrier Hawk's talons, but it's still trying its best, holding on with one claw and using the other to fish around this cavity in the tree. Now its face has gone back to yellow, which I'm sure you've all noticed. So incredible to see how their coloration can change. The one up there on the tree is still pink. interesting that this second Harrier Hawk has arrived on the scene. It could be that they're a mating pair, but only one of them can fish into a hole at a time. Oh, look at that one's getting attacked by a fork-tailed drongo as it flies off. Great work on camera there, Andrew.
It looked like it had something in its mouth. Looked like a snake or something.
No, I think you're imagining things, sadly. It's got nothing. It's got nothing there, but we'll leave that one. It seems to be looking for another hole. It may have just been attracted into the area where all the smaller birds were alarm calling. Oh, has it got anything? No, it still seems to be trying to fish out whatever it can from this cavity. I'm going to reposition ever so slightly to see if we can get a slightly better angle. It's so caught up in what it's doing that I don't think we have to worry about it flying away. And I really would like to show you a better angle on what it's doing. It's a bit of a gamble because I'm not sure if we're going to get a clear view, but it's a gamble worth taking, so bear with us. Oh, that looks like it's going to work well. Awesome. I think we've got lucky. We've got a small gap, and we can now see exactly what it's trying to do. And it's sticking its leg far up into that hole. And that was a Birchall starling that flew down and attacked it, so it's got a lot on the go there. It's trying its best to fish out whatever it can from that hole, but at the same time it's getting bombarded by these smaller birds. I can't believe how lucky we've got. The fact that we saw it attempting to hunt a little bit earlier, and now just minutes later we get to see it fully in the swing. It must know that there's something in there because it's persisting and is going to continue to try, I hope, until it actually manages to catch something. Shame, how terrifying must this be for the adults, who appear to be the red-billed hornbills, I'm guessing, which are the birds you can see in the frame now. They do nest in cavities and trees.
Why would the starling be helping if they're trying to get a hornbill baby out, if that's the case?
Yeah, Andrew's just asked a good question, and he's wondering why the starling's getting involved and risking any potential injury from this African Harrier Hawk if it's not necessarily its chicks. That's because they all band together, and certain birds like starlings are notorious for helping to police larger raptors like African Harrier Hawks, and they all band together and help one another. But it is just a show of their personality, I guess, and they are gutsy, brave birds that are often associated in mobbing ceremonies like this. It's often the starlings that are first on call to try and chase off these other prey animals, them and the fork-tailed drongo, which is the small black bird that we saw chasing off the other Harrier Hawk earlier. I've been looking for the other Harrier Hawk. There's no sign of it anymore, so it's obviously moved off, but this guy's now back to his initial cavity where he's been searching, and he's sticking his head in to hopefully, I guess, see exactly where the prey is hiding. So wouldn't it be interesting to know how deep that cavity is and how close it is getting to its prey? Those legs are very long, and you'll notice when it sticks that leg up there, it goes a long way. And these legs are highly specialized and adapted for this kind of foraging. And they can double joint and twist and contort in order to be able to get as far into these cavities as possible, but also to not break. And here's the facial plumage changing again. A sign of its excitement. It's gone back to the pink coloration. And this is only something I've been able to show once before, how quickly their facial plumage can change. How awesome. Go ahead for Scots. Good morning, Craig. It's just myself here. You're more than welcome to join. On the southern side. Now, has he given up on that cavity? It is something that they will often have to weigh up, I guess. They may very well know that there's something in there, but how much energy is it worth expending trying to get something out of a hole? It's taking these small breaks or breathers to rest, I guess, and it does keep going back to seem to keep going back to the same cavity, although now it's almost broadening its horizons and looking for other holes, as it could well have realized that it's not going to have any other luck. Now let's see all of the birds chasing it. Well, it appears that whatever was in that initial cavity has got lucky. It must have been a horrifying start to the day, having these yellow talons clawing at whatever it was inside there. I'm guessing it was some baby red-billed hornbills. They got away luckily, and we still got to see a great show of how they attempt to catch their prey. I'm going to hang around just for a few more minutes though and see what it does next, as this is such a rare occurrence for us to be able to share this kind of a sighting with you. Just got a question through from Jerry in Maryland. Good morning, Jerry, and welcome. Jerry's interested to know if there's potentially a snake within the cavity of that tree. And, oh, a lilac-breasted roller is now getting involved in the attack. Look at this. Awesome. It's incredible how brave these smaller birds are. I guess they know that they're more acrobatic. Oh, that bird was starting to give it a proper peck on the back of the head there. And as I was saying, the chance of there being a snake in the cavity of that tree is certainly there, but the way that the birds were mobbing the African Harrier Hawk makes me feel that it was the birds that were the owner of whatever it was that's in that cavity. And it is mainly baby birds that they will seek out, these African Harrier Hawks. I'm sure if there was a snake or a lizard within the cavity, they would happily feed on it. But it is mainly younger birds that are nesting within the cavity of these trees that the African Harrier Hawks will seek out. It's now flown across to this marula tree, where it's probably trying to seek a bit of refuge from all of the birds that were alarm calling and mobbing it earlier, and it's probably having a break. It would have been tiring work clambering on the tree as well as digging into that hole at the same time. Wonderful. And Andrew's just done a great job on the camera there. We're gonna probably leave this African Harrier Hawk to its own devices now. Although I'm tempted to just go and have one last look at it and see what it does next, because again it is abnormal for us to have such great visuals of these birds. And it's just landed up ahead of us in a marula tree. We'll let it investigate this marula tree for any more potential cavities, and if it manages to find one, then we'll hang around. If not, we'll move off. It's just on the other side of the tree now. Got a question through from Virginia. Good morning, Virginia, and welcome. Virginia's interested to know why this hawk wouldn't try and attack the adults that were busy mobbing it, the adult birds, and it's simply because they are harder to catch than a young and defenseless chick that's sitting in the cavity of a nest. And the African Harrier Hawk is not a very swift bird of prey. So, and it is highly adapted and specialized to pluck prey out of these cavities with their long double-jointed legs. It would be too difficult for that African Harrier Hawk to latch onto prey that's just flying around and that's fully grown, like the birds that were mobbing it. It's simply going to be too slow. If it could, it certainly would, but it's not designed to feed on large and fully fledged birds. It's mainly the chicks that are helpless and defenseless, and their main form of protection is their nest, which this specific bird has evolved to be able to get into. And that fork-tailed drongo just followed it off there and gave it a few more unceremonial pecks on the back of the head as it flew off. Chris in South Australia, good morning. Chris is interested to know whether this bird of prey, the African Harrier Hawk, is a migratory bird or whether it's here year-round. And thankfully it's one of our common residents, so it's here throughout the year. And any of the migratory birds that are still around at this time of the year won't be here for much longer. They typically would have all moved off by now. I'll have one quick glimpse of the lion just to show you their current state. And that's the young male there, fast asleep on the road. The rest of the pride are lying up in the thicker vegetation to the left of the road also fast asleep, so I've been keeping an eye on them whilst we got spoilt with the great bird sighting. And I love it when the lion get upstaged by a lesser well-known character archer, and this morning it was the African Harrier Hawk that outperformed the lion. So we'll leave them to it, and like I say, good prospects for later on this morning or certainly this afternoon. But I feel that we can have more fun elsewhere this morning, so we're going to head off up towards Buffelshoek Dam and see if we don't have any luck relocating on Karula.